What drugs were like in the Viking era. The Vikings have a reputation for being fierce warriors who spent most of their time pillaging and plundering the known world. While this is certainly true in part, it's a far cry from the full picture. Sure, the Vikings were fearsome fighters, but they were also traders and explorers with a culture rich in tradition, art, and poetry. It's not hard to imagine that drugs had an important role in Viking culture. The amount of drug use throughout Viking history is uncertain, as there are still many questions left unanswered. In this video, we take a look at what drugs were like in the Viking era. We'll explore the different types of drugs that were available, how they were used, and what the effects were. We'll also look at the role of drugs in Viking society and how they were used in daily life. So if you're interested in what drugs were like in the Viking era, be sure to watch this video until the end. Remember to give it a like and subscribe if you found it enjoyable and informative. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. The Vikings were a people of many traditions, and one of those was their use of drugs. The Vikings used drugs for a variety of reasons, such as medicine or recreation, and Vikings berserkers also used drugs during battles. A Viking berserker was a special type of warrior who fought in a frenzy, often without regard for their own safety. These warriors were highly prized for their fearlessness and their ability to turn the tide of a battle. Berserkers would often work themselves into a frenzy before a battle, using powerful drugs to increase their strength and stamina. Once they were in the thick of battle, they would often become so lost in the moment that they would forget their plan and ignore their injuries. This made them extremely dangerous opponents, but it also meant that they often died young in battle. Although they were greatly feared by their enemies, berserkers were also highly respected by their fellow Vikings. They were seen as brave and honorable warriors, and their skills were greatly prized. When the Vikings went into battle, they didn't just go in swinging their swords. In fact, they had a whole range of rituals and ceremonies they would perform before fighting. These would include things like sacrifices, chanting, and even wearing special items like amulets. Why did they do this? The Vikings believed that these rituals would please the gods and give them a better chance of winning. They also believed that the gods would help them in battle and protect them from harm. So next time you watch a movie about Vikings, don't be surprised to see them performing strange rituals before fighting. They weren't just doing it for show. They actually believed it would help them win. Scandinavia is home to many fungal plants. In fact, the region is so rich in fungi that it's been called the mushroom capital of the world. And while some fungi are poisonous, many are actually quite edible. It is commonly believed that the berserkers, Viking warriors who were known for their savage bloodthirst, achieved their power by consuming these mushrooms. This belief was based on the fact that many berserkers were found with mushroom caps sewn into their clothes. However, recent evidence has shown that berserkers may have actually achieved their power through the use of a powerful psychoactive drug called fly agaric. Fly agaric mushrooms are a type of mushroom that contain the psychoactive compound ibotenic acid. Ibotenic acid is known to cause hallucinations, delirium, and feelings of euphoria. It has a red cap with white spots, and it's often thought of as a magic mushroom because it can cause hallucinations. This drug, which is found in certain types of mushrooms, would have given the berserkers the strength and stamina to fight for hours on end. In 1784, a priest named Oddman proposed a theory that going berserk was the result of eating a fly agaric. He observed that the berserker warriors of Norse legend often ate these mushrooms before battle, and he theorized that these mushrooms caused them to go into a frenzy. The active principle in fly agaric is muscimol, which acts on the brain to produce GABA receptor agonist, hypnotic, depressant, and hallucinogenic effects. Muscimol is classified as a Class A drug in the UK, which means it is illegal to possess, supply, or produce. Fly agaric is not considered to be addictive, but there is a risk of dependency with regular use. Another mushroom that may have been the cause of berserk fury was the fungus Claviceps purpurea, as it contains a compound used to synthesize the hallucinogen LSD or lysergic acid diethylamide. Lysergic acid diethylamide, LSD, is a powerful psychoactive drug that can produce changes in perception, mood, and cognition. LSD is typically ingested in the form of a white, odorless powder or clear liquid. It is best known for its hallucinogenic effects, which can include visual and auditory hallucinations, changes in mood and perception, and an altered state of consciousness. One of the symptoms of being under the influence of LSD is that one commonly experiences violent or erratic behaviors due to its psychedelic effects. This fungus, also known as ergot, is a parasitic plant that affects rye and other cereal grains. It is thought to have caused the mass hysteria known as the Dancing Plague of 1518, in which people danced uncontrollably for days or even weeks at a time. Some historians believe that ergot may have also been a factor in the Berserk fury, as it can cause hallucinations and delusions. Berserkers were Norse warriors who were known for their frenzy in battle. In order to achieve this state of frenzy, they would often take mind-altering substances before the battle. One of the most popular substances they used was henbane, also known as Hyoscyamus niger. Henbane is a poisonous plant that can cause hallucinations, delirium, and even death. Berserkers would often chew on the leaves of the plant or make a tea out of it to ingest its mind-altering properties. There is evidence that henbane was used by berserkers as far back as the 9th century. So why did berserkers take such a dangerous substance? It's likely that they believed the hallucinations and delirium caused by henbane would help them in battle. They thought the substance made them faster and better able to fend off opponents. After all, they would have been surrounded by men waving their swords blindly, out of control. Using henbane in battle may have caused men berserkers to feel invincible. You may have heard that cannabis was used in the Viking era to treat toothaches, but did you know that it was also used to treat anxiety and depression? The Vikings are known for their bravery, but even they had their moments of fear and sadness. Since cannabis has been shown to reduce anxiety and depression symptoms, it makes sense that some were using it as an alternative therapy. The Vikings also used cannabis for spiritual purposes. They believed that eating hemp seeds would help them get closer to Odin. However, researchers aren't sure exactly how this worked out or where they got this information from. Mead, or honey wine, was the drink of choice in the Viking era. It was a fermented beverage made by combining water and honey, which you can still do today. In addition to being drunk for pleasure, mead was also used as medicine. Mead is one of those drinks that has both a reputation for being delicious and extremely potent. As it turns out, both are true, depending on how long it's left to ferment and what kinds of yeast were used during fermentation. Mead can be high in alcohol content, with an alcohol content somewhere between 7% ABV, alcohol by volume, and 17% ABV. Mandrake was a drug used by the Vikings that was said to have many magical properties. Mandrake root was often used in charms and potions and was thought to bring good luck, protection, and healing. The Vikings believed that mandrake root had the power to break spells, ward off evil, and even revive the dead. Mandrake root was also used as a drug and was thought to have hallucinogenic properties. Vikings would sometimes chew on the root or make tea out of it and would experience visions and even out-of-body experiences. In large doses, mandrake root could be deadly, but in small doses, it was used as a way to experience otherworldly realms. While the Vikings are often thought of as brutal warriors, they were also quite keen on using drugs for medicinal purposes. Various plants and herbs were used to treat a wide range of ailments, from pain relief to digestive issues. In fact, the Vikings were so skilled in herbal medicine that they even had their own pharmaceutical company, which exported their products all over the world. Some of the Viking drugs used were pretty hardcore, while others were more like herbal remedies. The Vikings used a variety of drugs and remedies to treat everything from the common cold to battle wounds. Some of the Viking drugs used were pretty hardcore, while others were more like herbal remedies. One of the most popular drugs used by the Vikings was hallucinogenic mushroom tea. This tea was used to induce trances and visions and was thought to be a way to commune with the gods. Other popular drugs used by the Vikings included belladonna, deadly nightshade, and hemlock, a poisonous plant. While some of these drugs may seem dangerous, the Vikings were actually quite skilled in the art of medicine. They had a deep understanding of herbal remedies and knew how to use them safely. Overall, it seems like the Vikings were pretty into their drugs. They were using them for everything from pain relief to getting visions of the future. It's interesting to think about how different the world would be if they had access to modern-day drugs. Would they still be using them in the same way? Or would they be using them for more medical purposes? Only time will tell. So that's all for today. We hope you enjoyed today's video on Viking drugs. If you have any questions about the topic, feel free to leave them in the comments below and we'll do our best to answer them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.